So, would you rather live 100 years in the past or 100 years into the future? Would you rather go on vacation every year for 2 weeks, but you have to keep going back to the same place? Or would you rather get to go on vacation only for 1 week every 5 years, but you get to explore a new place every time? Would you rather have a 30-year career at a job that you do not like at all? Or you have to work for 45 years, but you love your job? Well, this is our series called Would You Rather, and I'm just putting up less than 5-minute videos every Tuesday because we're not meeting in person for the month of January. Would you rather be religious or be transformed? And that's what we're talking about today. So there was this church and they hired a new pastor, and he was there for a couple of weeks, and it came around to Communion Sunday. And so that's the Sunday when the church would celebrate the Lord's Supper, when you drink the grape juice or the wine and you eat the bread, and it represents the body of Christ and just remembering what it is that Jesus did for us. So anyway, this pastor has been at his new church for a number of weeks, and it's the first Communion Sunday. And so the deacons of the church are setting up for communion, and at the front of the church sanctuary, they set up the table with the cups of juice and the baskets of bread, and then they cover it all with a white tablecloth. And then church carries on, and it's time for communion, and 2 men go and carefully fold the tablecloth, and the whole ceremony of communion can carry on. And so at a meeting later on, the pastor said, why the tablecloth? What's with that? Is that necessary? And they said, well, this is what we've always done. This is how we do communion. It's part of our religious practice. And so the pastor didn't want to do the tablecloth thing anymore. And so he looked into their church history, trying to figure out where that started from, because it's not like they did that in the Bible at the Last Supper, where we are commanded to do the Lord's Supper. Anyway, so he found out that decades ago, it was really hot on a Sunday, and it was Communion Sunday, and everything was laid out on the table. But it was so warm in the sanctuary, they opened all the windows to let some fresh air in, and all these flies were attracted to the juice and the bread. And so they didn't want flies all over their communion stuff. So some people ran to the church kitchen and grabbed some tablecloths and put it over the things. And when it became time to serve it, they folded up the tablecloths. Anyway, so it literally had no religious reason behind it at all. It was just purely practical and spontaneous. And then they had done it ever since. And stuff like that, these ceremonies and these religious practices that aren't in the Bible even, we become used to them. They become rituals. They're not what save us. It's just our relationship with Jesus that save us. Some of our practices make us feel close to Jesus or help us to learn about God, and there's nothing wrong with that. The way we worship, how we conduct our church services, they make us feel close to God in many ways. But those practices themselves don't save us. Our relationship with Jesus save us. So don't choose to be religious, choose to be transformed. And so I want you to go and read Acts chapter 9, verses 1-22. And it's all about Saul's transformation. He was an extremely religious man. He knew everything written in the books of the law and how to conduct religious ceremonies and so on perfectly. But that's not what saved him. What saved him was his encounter with Jesus. So go read that. Okay, bye.